Hi, everybody. Charles from GMAT Ninja here. I've got a pretty amazing test taker here doing a debrief with Ritvik from Delhi, and he got a 755 on the GMAT, which is almost unheard of. That's 100th percentile, which I don't even know is a thing until the GMAT focus happened. Ritvik, thank you so much for coming on here and talking about your experiences.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on this platform.
All right. So I always like to start with why are you doing this to yourself? Tell us about you. Where are you? What do you do for a living? Why'd you go down the road of taking the GMAT?
So I'm based off New Delhi, and I completed my undergrad in the commerce field 2 years back. Since then, I have been working in the finance industry. Basically, I work at a stockbroker. So that's about it. I will be doing my MBA this year. So I will be joining in the month of April.
Awesome. So your GMAT story started back in 2023. So was that right after you finished your bachelor's degree, or was that still during?
No, that was during my second year. So I prepared
Awesome.
for my GMAT during the summer break.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously we know the punchline. I mean, you ended up with a score that is, you might have missed 2 questions on the whole test, something like that. I mean, absolutely incredible performance that very few people pull off. Let's bring it back to the beginning. So when you first thought, hey, maybe I should take this GMAT thing, tell us about what you did. So did you start studying right away? Did you take a mock exam right away? So bring us back to that very start.
Yeah, so it started in the first year. I had already made up my mind that I was going to do an MBA. However, like preparing for GMAT and the college side by side was difficult. So I just used to practice some verbal here and there for my first year. So it was pretty inconsistent. However, I took my preparation seriously during the second year. So during the summer break, most folks go for summer internships, right? I focus more on the exam. So at first, what I did was I prepared for 15 days. I familiarized myself with all the concepts and everything. And then I took a mock test, official mock, and I scored a 690. I was pretty happy with that mock score. So what I did was that I tried to double down on verbal. So my quant was decent. However, at that time, as you must know, there was a sentence correction in GMAT. So that was pretty tricky for me. So what I did was I doubled down on it, and I prepared for another 1.5 months. And after that, I gave 2 mocks, scoring 740 and 720. Then I gave my real exam, and I scored exactly between those 2 mocks. I scored a 730. However,
Awesome.
I have one thing to tell you. So during the exam, I don't know what happened. I felt pretty demoralized. I felt like this exam was going horrible. So
Interesting.
basically, I got over the 2 graded sections of quant and verbal, and then I was like, "There's no point of giving the exam." So I skipped over the IR and AWA section completely. And
for anybody, I'm going to interrupt you here, Ritvik, for just a moment. For anybody who has no idea what some of these things are, integrated reasoning, AWA, these are sections that are no longer part of the GMAT. They were part of the GMAT back in 2023. The scoring scale was different. Back then, only quant and verbal mattered. There was a thing called sentence correction. So if you're listening to this and going, wait, he was studying things, I'm not studying that. Yeah, they're not there anymore. Okay, so you felt, backing up to how you felt walking into the exam room. So really strong mock score starting out, right? 690 is great. You had your nice strong scores in the 700s. Did you feel confident walking into the exam room, or were there doubts leaking in for you at all on test day before you went in?
I had some doubts. So because the B school that I was applying to, its deadline was on 31st August. And
Okay.
I gave my exam on 28th. So this was the only chance. I couldn't reappear. So I was a little stressed out about that.
Interesting. Okay. So you're coming in a little bit more agitated than you might otherwise be.
Yeah.
Was there anything in particular that triggered, I mean, so you ended up a great score, right? I mean, you had your 730 in the end. Was there what was it that triggered the self-doubt during the exam? Because I find it fascinating that you felt terrible and still performed really well. Were there certain questions? Was it timing? What was it that made you go, wow, I'm crapping the bed here?
Yeah, so it was basically the verbal section. In verbal, see, quant is like in quant, you can tell if you are doing it right or wrong. However, in verbal, I couldn't tell how good I was doing. So I thought I was doing pretty horrible. and that basically nosedived my confidence. So yeah, I think so
Interesting.
that's the
Okay.
reason. Yeah.
Okay. And did you do quant first or verbal first?
I did verbal first, and after that,
Okay.
I felt horrible, and I think so. Even I could have scored even more. However, after that, even quant I did not give my best. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So it's a probably a good problem to have that not your best was still a 730, which is fantastic. Let me ask you this. I mean, the obvious question is why, what made you retake 730s spectacular? What made you go, yes, but I want more?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So the thing is, my dad, Parveen Chaudhary, is actually in this GMAT tutoring space himself since the last 20 years. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and his highest was 750. I scored a 730 and I was pretty happy with it. But he goes like, the son should at least surpass his father, right? So he challenged me, and at that time I was busy with my college placements and all, so I ignored that. However, when I got into job, I starting getting bored, right? So, and I also had some free time, so I thought that let's take up the challenge, and I started preparing. So that's the only reason I gave the GMAT focus again. Also, I was curious about the data insight section because I had skipped integrated reasoning. So if you know, integrated reasoning is somehow like data insights only. So I thought let's give it this time properly. So yeah, that's the main reason.
Interesting. And again, for those who don't know, integrated reasoning was the precursor to the current data insights section. So it was all of the data insights question types minus data sufficiency. So table analysis, graphical interpretation, multi-source reasoning, and two-part analysis. And it was a separate subscore. So it didn't really matter, which is why we can say things like, hey, Ritvik, you crushed the test 730. You didn't do well at all on integrated reasoning. It didn't matter because it wasn't part of the composite. Obviously,
Mhm.
now its successor, Data Insights, is. Oh, that is fascinating. Okay. So, a really important question. Did your dad help you at all with any of your studies, or did you do it alone completely? Like,
Uh,
did you ask him for advice? Did you definitely not want his advice? I think you're the first person I've ever spoken to taking the GMAT who is the child of a GMAT expert. So this is fascinating.
Uh, yeah, so he mentored me. However, he did not like formally teach me. He guided me like do this, do that, improve yourself like that. So it wasn't completely directly. However, it was indirectly.
Awesome. So it's more kind of giving you advice on what materials to use, sort of how to think about your
Yeah,
studies,
yeah,
what to
yeah, yeah,
focus on.
yeah. How to get over
Awesome.
plateaus and stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, this is totally fascinating. So 730, great score. It was more of a personal challenge, and probably fun to beat dad, which you did in the end. Um, Tell us a little bit, and we'll get into kind of the materials and what exactly you used to improve in a moment. But once you decided to start tackling the GMAT again, hey, I'm going to go take the Focus Edition. I'm curious about this data insights thing. How did that go? So did you jump right into a mock exam again? And if so, how did that look?
So I was basically out of touch with the maths concepts, and I also haven't practiced verbal since a lot of time. So what I did was for the first 15 days, I got in touch again. So I familiarized myself with the data insights types questions like the MSR, the TPA, graphs and tables. All those were new to me, and I brushed up my maths quant concepts. And after that, I gave a mock score. So basically, after 15 days of preparation, and then I managed to score around 675 in that.
Okay.
So I was pretty I was it was like okay, so it's basically around 730 in the original score. Yeah, it's equivalent.
So again, for anybody who's not familiar, it's not relevant for most test takers at this point. Because of the change in the score scale when they brought in the GMAT Focus, the current version of the GMAT, the score scale shifted a little bit. So 675 that you got on that first GMAT Focus mock exam, that's actually roughly equivalent to a 720, 730. 730 obviously is what you got on the old version of the test on the real thing. And I should say at this point, how much time passed between your 730 and then starting back up again? So how long did you completely ignore the GMAT in
Uh,
between
so
your study
uh,
periods?
so from August of 2023, and I started my preparation around October of 2025. So basically, more than 2 years, 2 years, 2 months, 2 3 months.
Awesome. So the itch, it took a while. The itch came. You started working on it again. 675. Okay. Obviously a great score, but that wasn't higher than what you had before. So I understand why you wanted more. So what happened from there? So tell us about how hard you studied. What did you use from there to go from that 675 and start moving upwards again?
So first of all, just like the real test, what I used to do was I used to practice 64 questions daily. So what that means is I used to practice 23 questions of verbal, 21 questions of
Wow.
quant, and 20 questions of DI daily, and I used to review them also. However, I found verbal to be very draining, so I used to like review the verbal questions the next day, not on the same day, on the next day, and I used to review the questions which I found to be difficult or the ones I got wrong. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, and I continued this practice for almost 2 months, almost
Wow. Every
less
single
than two
day.
months. Not consistently. I tried to do it every single day. Yeah, so I you can say like 6 days out of a week.
That's amazing. Okay. That's a lot. And you're working full time at this point.
Yeah. So actually, I had already planned this out. So what I used to do was I used to like spend 3 hours on a working day. So that is 1 hour before going to my office and 2 hours after coming back. And on the weekdays, weekends, sorry, on the weekends, I used to study for about 5 to 6 hours.
Wow. That's a lot. Awesome. Okay. And which materials were you using at that point? Because you were
So
going through a huge volume. So, I mean, you had to go far beyond the official guides at that point. So tell us kind of how you managed all of that.
Yeah. So first of all, earlier when I was starting for the concepts, I used the Manhattan guides, especially for quant. I found those to be pretty helpful. For then I came to the official guides. So I didn't start with the latest official guide. I first of all, I went back to the official guides I did for my first test. So except DI, everything was there. The quant was there, verbal was there. For DI, obviously, I had to use the new ones. Uh, and actually, I found some material shortage in DI because I think so. Max 1,000 questions are there. There are not a lot of published questions by now in DI. So I also use the advanced official guide. So there's you must know there was a book gray and blue color of the original GMAT. I use that for verbal and quant.
And that,
And then I when I completed my official guide of 2022, I went to the new latest ones. So that was I think so 2024 to 2025.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you did, I'm guessing in that period. So when you were doing, I mean, you were studying a lot, right? I mean, so you were about 20 hours a week of studying, maybe a little bit more than that, going through 60 plus questions a day, 6 days a week. Um, so I'm imagining that you went through pretty much every official question in that 2 months.
Yeah. One more thing that I did was GMATClub proved pretty helpful for me. So GMATClub has many filters. So I use the GMAT Prep Classic filters. So what that did was that it gave me the questions of mocks of the old exam.
Yeah.
So I use that too.
Perfect. And for anybody this is fantastic, Ritvik. So you're referencing a bunch of resources that are good ones, but so that old advanced GMAT book, I think 300 questions in there, half quant,
Mhm.
half verbal. Some of them are sentence
Mhm.
correction.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that book is, I mean, it must be out of print now. You might be able to find it somewhere. I can
Yeah.
say that
I bought it off Amazon. I bought it
there
off
you go.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find a beat up old copy somewhere, but it's limited, right? It's only 300
Mhm.
questions. Sentence correction is
Mhm.
going to be part of it. Geometry is in there.
Mhm.
I can say that GMAC is planning to release an updated version of that at some point in the next year. So if you really need some more extra hard questions, GMAC says they're coming.
Mhm.
And for those who aren't familiar, GMAT prep was the old term for the MBA.com practice exams. So, Ritvik, when you're saying that you use the filters on GMATclub for GMAT prep, and then it says in parentheses classic, that will pull the questions from those old practice tests. Some of those questions got recycled in the official guides. None of them, to my knowledge, got recycled into the practice tests. So you can do these great questions for mock exams with a caveat that there's not going to be integrated reasoning or very limited data
Mhm.
insights / integrated reasoning in there.
Mhm.
But they'll give you high quality retired questions. So good innovation. Okay. How did you know? So you did a ton of work. You started from a really strong position with that 675. Obviously, got an absolute elite score. Was there anything along the way when any moments where you said, "Hey, maybe I'm not improving," or you started to have doubts about your ability to move the needle on your score? Were there any moments like that for you, or was it kind of good, steady improvement the whole time?
No, I surely face such moments, and for me it was in quant. So I plateaued
Interesting.
around quant 87 out of 90. So after that, what used to happen was I used to make silly mistakes, or sometime I was under huge time pressure. So I used to panic around the later versions and then get them wrong. So for that, what I did was I bought Experts Global's mock, and I also used the GMAT Club's mocks, but I only used them for the quant section, as that was the main problem at that time. So what I personally believe is both are pretty solid questions. Matlab, both are pretty great. However, the GMAT clubs questions are way harder than the real exam. Like, I could never get a Q90 on them. They were pretty harder. However, they trained me for the time pressure. So I think so they made me good at that. So every time I used to do them, I used to panic. Oh, I'm not able to get them. Oh, I'm not able to get them. And that trained me for the real exam. I think so that really helped me.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So even though I think a takeaway that I think is really good for people, not everybody's going to score 90 on quant, right? I mean, obviously you have spectacular quant skills. You worked really hard at it. People who might not hit your level, that experience you had of going, wait a minute, I keep looking at these tests and I'm giving away a few points because I'm struggling with the time pressure and I make careless errors. That's almost universal. I mean, I think almost
Mhm.
everybody has that problem to some degree. And I love that you faced it head on. I mean, it sounds like you kind of addressed it by saying, I'm going to put myself under pressure, learn how to manage this time, learn how to be really consistent in my approach. And it sounds like that worked. So you felt better by the time your test rolled around. Like, did you see tangible improvement in terms of your time management?
Yeah, I definitely did. As I used to, as I used, as I get used to doing hard questions, the easy ones became even more easier for me. So the time management issue resolved. However, there was still one issue that was regarding the ordering of the sections. So there are three sections, and I think so we can order them in 9 ways, six ways, three factorial ways. Earlier, my sectional order was I used to put my strongest verbal first, and the newest one at last, and quant in between. So what happened? What happened as time dragged on? I used to lose concentration in the test, in the mock tests. So I used to commit. I was still committing some silly mistakes, and those were really painful. Like, I gave my best, and then the mock scores came, and I saw I got two incorrect, which I would have otherwise gotten 100% correct. So then I switched up my order and I put quant first. So I think so that really helped me. I put quant first, then DI, then verbal. So now it's my strongest section is in the last. So when I switched the order, my mock score jumped by 60 points. So I think so, yeah,
Interesting. And
that really helped.
and just to be clear, so the logic behind that for you was not just that verb. I mean, you're obviously great at quant too, great at quant and verbal data insights. It's tough to get that super top score. But when you say strongest, do you mean in terms of scoring, or do you mean in terms of how much mental energy it takes for you to complete the section? Because it sounds
Uh,
like it was kind of an effort to reduce fatigue overall, and verbal was something you could do a little bit, maybe when you're a little bit less sharp. Is that the thinking?
Yeah, that's the thing. Also, I personally find verbal to be very interesting. So I think so. The reading
That's great.
comprehensions increase my journal knowledge. Like, they are on technology, history, science. I like reading them. And I think so. I treat the critical reasoning as games. So basically, they are testing my logic. How can I find flaws? So
Yes.
I found that really interesting. I hated the sentence correction in the original exam. However, I even when I scored a 730, I got all the CR and RCs correct. So in my verbal, the only wrongs were
Awesome.
in the sentence correction. So as sentence correction was removed, I was quite delighted. Now I can do what I like.
Awesome.
So yeah.
I love that. And for what it's worth, Ritvik, and you might have heard me say this in other videos, one of the things I always notice about super high scorers, almost always there's a joy with at least some part of the exam, right?
Hmm.
Almost everybody who scores super high will say, oh, I started to see this part of the exam or that part of the exam as a game and I really enjoyed it, or a sport,
Yeah,
or exactly what you said about reading comprehension more than critical reasoning, that it's like hey, these are interesting and they increase my general knowledge. I think the more you can bring joy to it, the easier it is to sustain. I mean, you put in a lot of hours. I mean, you're 20 plus hours a week on this. It's easier to sustain that, number one. And number two, I think it's so much easier to stay focused on the exam if you can have fun with it on some level. So I think personally, listening to you talk about this, that sounds like a huge part of your success. Okay. So your mock exams got better. You were doing great. You optimized section order, understanding how you work, right? Thinking about fatigue as one of your main issues, optimized for that very successfully. I love it. When did you feel like you were ready to take the test? What was kind of the moment when you said, okay, I'm ready. Let me schedule this.
I think so. I felt ready when my score jumped by around, again, I told you as around 60 points. So my second mock score was 715. After that, I changed my order and then I scored a 785. So when I saw the 785, I was pretty happy. And at that time, I felt that I'm ready for the exam. Yeah.
Pretty happy. 785. Pretty
Yeah.
happy. Because again, that's an absolutely incredible score. Awesome. Before we get into your test day, I have to ask, what were the conversations like with your dad at this point? Like, was he asking about your progress quite a bit? Were you talking about it together? Were you seeking advice from him? Were you talking trash and saying, "Dad, I'm going to crush your best score"? What did that look like?
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes I get into arguments with my dad, and at that time he used to say that you're not as smart as me. I scored higher than you. So that, I think so, really pinched me. That really pinched me.
Wow.
And as the exam grew closer, I think so. The negative motivation really helped me. Also, so there were some questions in DI which I couldn't understand at all. So at first I will go through the official explanations, then I will go through the GMAT club. Even still, if I didn't get those questions, then I used to ask my dad, please help me in those. And he gave me one other piece of advice, that just before the exam day, so I booked my exam early in the morning. So what he told me, just before the exam day, just relax. You have done your best. Now you can relax. And I think so that really helped me. I think so that helped me calm my mind.
Smart. Okay, I love it. So there is some trash talk between dad and son here.
Yeah.
And you said his best was 750, correct? Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, that's on the old test.
Yeah.
Old test,
Yeah.
750. That's about like a 705, 695 on the current version. So just saying. Okay. So you get the really good advice and all the respect in the world to your dad. So that's exactly what he should be saying, and it's awesome. And it sounds like he was motivating you in really cool ways. And my hunch is that a lot of the joy you brought to the studying probably had something to do with him. So all the respect in the world to everything he was doing there. So you book your exam early morning. You're relaxed. Tell us a little bit about the experience.
First of all, I will start with the night before. So there is this general advice that one should get at least 8 hours of sleep, and I tried to do that. So I lay in my bed for like 2 hours straight, and I couldn't sleep.
Oh, no.
I lay in my bed around 10 p.m. and I couldn't sleep by 12, and I had to wake up 6 in the morning because the test center is also far away. So I only got about 6 hours of sleep. I woke up. I had some yogurt with some sugar in it. And after that, I went to the test centers. My parents dropped me, and the test center experience was quite good. However, first section was quant, as I told you. In quant, I faced 2 questions which I couldn't do in my first go. So before the test, I had already made up my mind. If I couldn't do any questions, I would leave them for the end and then come back to them, so that I don't mess up my time management. So I did just that, and fortunately, I was able to get those 2 correct. I also used the same trick in DI. So for DI, what I believe is DI is the least punishing section. So you can get away with way more wrongs and still score a respectable score, as compared to, say, quant, in which if I had gotten even 1 or 2 wrongs, my score would have gone from Q90 to Q even 83. Who knows, right? So I tried to do the same in DI. However, the thing was, I couldn't go back to those questions because there was no time left. However, still, I think I managed to get all the medium and easy difficulty questions correct. And in the verbal section, I didn't feel any time pressure as such.
And you enjoyed it, I hope.
Yeah, it was great. Basically, verbal, I really love verbal. That's what I can say.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Okay. And obviously we've already told everybody you got a 755. So spoiler alert, great score. Were you surprised by it? What did you think was going to pop up on the screen? Did you think it would be that? Did you think it would be lower? Did you think it might be higher?
Yeah, I thought I would score around 715 or 725. So I was first of all, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was so happy. I got out of my chair and I almost jumped in excitement. Yeah, that I scored, yes. And after that, I shook hands with my proctor. I shook hands with the receptionist, and I was so happy, so happy. And then I called my dad and I told him that now I've finally beaten you. So it was a great experience.
And what did he say?
He said that he was proud of me.
Awesome.
So,
awesome. I love it. So a couple last questions. So what then for you? So where are you in terms of applications? Where did you apply? So tell us a little bit about what you did with that wonderful GMAT score.
So actually I had already gotten in with my 730 itself. So I'm thinking about it. However, I most probably I'm going to join ISB itself. So for now, I won't be using my GMAT scope, but maybe in the future, I'm not sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, last question before we wrap up. How often do you bring this up with your dad? Like do you, when you argue now, like, do you say, I beat your score, Dad? Like, how much trash talk happens at home? Because
rarely, because I try to respect him. I don't want to hurt his feelings. So yeah, but yeah, again, I think so. His trash talk really helped me, and he also solved my doubts. So I think so. It's really nice. Yeah.
Well, and he sounds like the kind of dad that it probably makes him happy. Like, he's probably more proud of you beating him than he would be happy if you didn't, right? I'm sure he might be happier than you are about it.
Yeah.
He sounds like that kind of dad. I love it. Okay. All right. Any last bits of advice for anybody taking the test? Anything, and again, you're obviously an incredibly talented guy in addition to being hardworking at this. So not everybody, certain things you obviously are more skilled at than some people watching. But even so, I think a lot of what you did, I think, is really helpful for people who might have a more modest score goal or a more modest starting point. I guess, what would you say to those folks? If there's one piece of advice you'd like people to take away that you think is really effective,
yeah,
what would that one thing be?
Yeah, so I have not only one, I have few pieces of advice. So the first one will be time management is key. GMAT is not just about accuracy. You should also focus on your time management. Otherwise, you won't be able to solve the questions in the end. So that will really hurt your score.
Yeah.
Second thing will be that you should manage your stress well. Some of my friends also gave GMAT, and I saw them score pretty well in the mocks. However, they panicked in the real exam. So the third advice would be never try to go for perfectionism. Otherwise, you will get stubborn and you will get stuck on one question, and that will ruin your score. So if you can't do a question in, say, a maximum of 4 minutes, you should leave it for the end. And other things that I can say is that it's just an exam. It's not your whole life. And the great thing with GMAT is you can always give it again. You can give it 5 times in a year, just 2 weeks after. I think so. It's 15 days after. So, and also if you are struggling, you can always seek professional help. So those are all the pieces of advice I have. Yeah.
Especially if somebody has your dad's number. All right. With that, Ritvik, thank you so much for doing this. Props again to your dad, because it sounds like he was a wonderful influence on all this. So please say hello for me. And thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, your YouTube videos are great. Those helped me in my verbal. I watched them in my first year, and those really helped me. I
Awesome.
watched them almost all of them.
Whoa, I'm so sorry. Just kidding.
Yeah. It's a pleasure meeting you. It's a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you so much. And have fun at ISB. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.